Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, presented and brought to you by FanDuel, as me and Zach are back once again to recap another week in the Big Ten. Sadly, this is like our second last week. We're going to recap this season. This season has gone by so fast. Very sad to have it go by so fast, but very excited for rivalry week and the postseason and everything else that the craziness of Big Ten football brings. We are going to get into everything that happened in week 13 as we diagnose it all, as Zach had a front row seat to diagnosing what happened over there in Happy Valley on Saturday night. Zach, how was your experience in Happy Valley?
It was great. It wasn't necessarily front row, but I got the best seats I could get for $11 a ticket. So that felt pretty cool. A beer in the stadium was more expensive than my ticket. I did not buy that beer, but I think there was a beer that was for $15.25, and I got my ticket for $11.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. Well, Zach, we are glad that you made it back safe from Happy Valley and that you're here with us as we are going to talk through week 13 in the Big Ten, as there were some big games, there were some big upsets, and overall there were just some big moments that we need to talk about. Let's just go ahead and get straight into it, as we had USC and Oregon. Oregon beat USC 42-27 in this one. The Oregon Ducks had a litany of injuries. They had wide receivers injured. Gary Bryant Jr. and Dante Moore were injured. Malik Benson was able to return a punt return touchdown, which was huge for them, but they did have offensive linemen that went down. Isaiah World was shaky going into the game. Alex Harkey was in and out of the game, but their backups came in and performed very well to try to get this. I mean, very well. They performed well for backups. I'm not trying to say that there was like no drop off from the other offensive line to those guys, but a very, very impressive win, in my opinion, Zach. And the AP poll has ended up moving Oregon up to top 5 in the AP poll. Pretty astounding with how the AP poll has kind of treated them so far, moving them down after the Iowa win there. What are your thoughts on this Oregon win?
I think you have to give a ton of credit to Dan Lanning and his staff, not just for their game plan, but I think also for the way they have recruited and filled out the depth of their roster. Because that's where this game, I think, was won, is that both teams really were decimated, like injury wise. Like we all know the running back situation at USC. King Miller's great, but he's not the guy that they wanted to ride into this game with. Oregon has tons of injuries, and Oregon is has more quality depth, and they are still stronger on the lines, which I think we both said that was true going into this game. But the fact that Oregon won, not just, I think, by the strength of their lines and the strength of their depth, but they found ways to win with special teams, I think really speaks to Dan Lanning and his ability to get his guys ready. They're rounding into form. As an Ohio State fan, I said going into this weekend, there were 3 teams that I really don't love. I just wouldn't want to play. I want to play them, but I don't want to play them. It was Indiana, Georgia, and Notre Dame. Add Oregon to that list, because this Oregon team, especially if they start getting those guys back, national championship contender for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't see how anybody looks at this Oregon team after this game and doesn't say national championship contender. Now, I'm not going to make it sound like USC played a flawless game and Oregon was just all that much better. I mean, USC definitely made their mistakes, but you could tell from the jump of that game, USC took the ball, they got the they won the toss, they got the ball, and they said we're just going to go after it right away. And so they attacked Oregon, and Oregon sure let up a score right there at the beginning of the game, but they attacked right on back, and the special teams and everything else all working together in this game. It was an excellent performance from Oregon, and one where I keep saying it, man. Alik Terry, best offensive line coach in the nation, and I don't really see an argument outside of it. The way this offensive line has played with multiple transfers coming in, you see other offensive lines bring transfers in, the chemistry just isn't there. And then also transfers being out the past 2 weeks for Oregon, or 2 or 3 weeks for Oregon, and also having guys be out in this game, and they just continue to plug guys in and look really, really good regardless. This Oregon team continues to amaze me and continues to say, once they get these guys back that are injured, like you said, they're going to be an even scarier team because Evan Stewart is coming back. I assumed Corian Moore and Gary Bryant Jr. are at some point coming back, but you pair those guys with Kenyon Sadiq and everybody else, yeah, and especially if you're going to have Dante Moore out there looking like a first-round draft pick, not just a first-round draft pick, a top 5, top 10 pick. I mean, that's what he looked like in this one. You and I talked about it, Zach, that the key for USC in this game was if they could get Dante Moore to not convert on third downs and try to confuse him and try to get him rattled back there. They just weren't able to do that. I mean, we
Yeah.
need to have a serious conversation about Dante Moore being not just a top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten, but probably a top 5 quarterback in all of college football after a game like this.
Well, and I think you can make the case that the top 3 quarterbacks in the country reside in the Big Ten. Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sayin, and Dante Moore.
Yeah. I would say those 3 are in the top 5 in the country. And you could make an argument that those top 3 are the top 3 in the country.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say too, USC did not play a flawless game. I think people look at the score and saw USC. They did keep it close for most of this game. I know it was a 15-point margin. Jaden Mayava had to make some ridiculous plays to keep USC in this game. And I think that's one of the takeaways. I think as I was watching this game, I was trying to figure out, okay, where is USC? How far have they come? How close are they to that upper tier? And how much has maybe Oregon fallen from that upper tier? And I think the answer we got was Oregon is firmly back in tier 1, if they ever left at all. And USC still has some work to do because I think Mayava he didn't play a perfect game, right? He struggled. But I think the thing that really stood out to me more was I felt like USC really had to strain to get a lot of things going after that first couple drives. And Oregon, while they certainly stalled at times, it felt like they were playing the game on varsity or All-American mode while USC was on special Heisman, secret mode, not even Heisman mode, much harder. And it's a credit to them that they kept it as close as they did. But I think it's just very clear. Oregon was the better team and USC has some work to do if they want to get into that upper echelon of the Big Ten.
I totally agree. I mean, there at the beginning of the game when USC scored, I said, okay, that was great for USC. Don't get me wrong, but that felt like a type of drive that you needed, really good plays from players to be able to make that happen. When Oregon went down the field and scored, don't get me wrong, they were good plays that happened, but it just felt like they just ran their offense and they were just the better team moving the ball down the field. I mean, in that first drive, it felt like Jacoby Lane had to make some pretty big catches. Makai Lemon, eventually they had to, roll Makai Lemon out on the reverse and have him throw the touchdown pass. And I'm not trying to say that makes you a worse team or anything like that, but it's different when you are just able to run your stuff and score every time. And maybe not every time, but you get what I'm saying. It takes a mistake by you to not score rather than the defense beating you. And I felt like that's what happened in the majority of this game. Oregon just executed, doing what they were supposed to do. And when they didn't score, or when USC did score, it was either USC made a spectacular play or Oregon made a mistake.
Yeah, to your point, Jacoby Lane made some catches in this game that were just filthy.
Jacoby Lane is awesome, dude. We have not talked about him enough this season. And I get it. USC had some safeties out and stuff like that. I'm sure somebody's going to bring that up and say, how good was Dante Moore and stuff. Look, he had Gary Bryant Jr. and Corian Moore, and Evan Stewart has been out all season as well. Look at the wide receiver core that Dante Moore was working with. I know USC had their safeties out, and sure, that helped Oregon, but I mean, you also look at this Oregon wide receiver core, and they've been working without their top three guys for, top one guy for all season, top
Yep.
three guys for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, and like another speaking of unsung heroes, like Jeremiah McClellan, who is a true
Oh
freshman,
yeah,
played really well in
or
this.
redshirt
Is
freshman.
he a
I think.
redshirt freshman
I
or
think he's redshirt
true?
freshman.
Yeah,
I'll double
okay.
check. Go ahead.
Yeah. But like he's stepped in and put in some good minutes, had some good catches in this game. Obviously, Kenyon Sadiq he's not underrated at all. His dude's insane at tight end. But I think to the point of, well, but USC had guys out. I think for one, their top three receiver, Oregon's top three receivers were out, and they still were able to just kind of go up and down the field. But I think the other thing too is, and this is part of the USC conversation of where they're at as a program. I think their safeties are good. I think if their safeties were in there, I'm not sure that matters all that much. Because like Kamari Ramsey, I'm blanking on the other guy's name. Is it Patterson? Is the other safety?
Bishop Fitzgerald.
Bishop Fitzgerald. Yeah, like they're good. They're good players. They're not. They're not elite. They weren't going to move the needle a ton against Oregon in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have them, but I don't think it completely stops Oregon's passing game by having them. So, did you like how many penalties were in this game? 19 penalties overall were enforced in this game. It felt like every other play, Oregon was penalized 11 times for 130 yards. USC was penalized 8 times for 130 yards. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there was some physical play going on out there, but I was also like, come on, guys, like at some point, just let the guys play. Like they're all being physical with each other. Just let it happen.
It's one of those where the refs were like, "Hey, we're a team too. Recognize us." And we're like, "Shut up. Keep your flag in your pocket. Let the real football players play.
We don't need you here. Move on." What did you think of Dan Lanning's comments afterwards? Did you see those comments? Okay, I will read them really fast in case other people didn't see them, and then get your reaction. Zach, Oregon head coach Dan Lanning took a shot at the SEC scheduling after his win versus USC. He said, quote, "This conference is a really good conference. It's competitive. We didn't play Chattanooga State today like some other places, right? We competed," end quote. What'd you think?
I mean, so a lot of SEC fans are taking offense to this because and rightfully so, they're pointing out that Oregon's schedule has not been great. But it's not like Oklahoma State and Oregon State are like Group of Five or FCS opponents, for one. So like they scheduled a Power Four team, a really bad one, but like they made an attempt, and Oklahoma State was good like 2 years ago. So like people need to chill on that. Oregon State rivalry game was in the Pac-12 2 years ago. So like again, give credit there. And then also you play who's on your schedule, right? Penn State was top 2 preseason. People need to understand that matters. I know it doesn't. You can say all you want about Penn State. We'll talk about Penn State here, but like Oregon's schedule ended up not being great, but it's not because they didn't try, which is more than I can say for a lot of SEC teams, for one. And two, again, a lot of these SEC honks want to pump up teams like Florida, who's 3-8 and stinks, and say, well, they're the best 3-8 team in the country. And South Carolina is so great. And it's like, shut up. I thought it was great. I thought it was called for, and Dan Lanning should absolutely defend his conference and his team.
Totally. And I wish more coaches did this kind of stuff. I mean, you have Signetti and these guys, giving props to the team before they play them. But I mean, more often we need coaches to come out and say, like, yeah, we beat this team by 2 scores, but you have no idea like how difficult it was to go out here and dominate that team, because they do have really good players and they're not going to let you just take over the game immediately and go out there like it's an FCS team, because unfortunately that's what a lot of people think is like, oh, Rutgers and Purdue, like they're just as bad as FCS teams, and it's just not the case. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that they are like top 50 teams in the country or anything like that, but this perception that Florida is for some reason, just a really good team that has a bad record because they played the, 24-20 against Georgia. It's like, no, that says more about Georgia not being quite the team that some people think they are, more than it does about, well, Florida's 3-7, but they're actually a good football team. I don't know what Florida's record is. They're probably like 3-8 right now.
They're 3 and
But
8.
but they're actually a good football team. It's like, no, they're not. No, you do not. You are not 3-8 and a good football team. We're going to talk about Wisconsin here in a little bit, and their 2 ranked wins they've got. Make no mistake, I'm not saying Wisconsin's a good football team, but I do think the accomplishment needs to be recognized and
Yep.
noticed. And
Yep.
also, too, the point that people are making out there is like, oh, well, Oregon played Montana State. Oregon played Montana State week 1.
Yeah.
Okay, it's completely different playing an FCS team. I don't like people playing FCS teams personally. I don't like what my team does, and I'm not trying to call anybody out. I personally don't like it when it happens, but I get it when it's early on in the season. When it's like past week 3, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. When you're in the second last week of the season and you're out here playing Mercer, you're out here playing, I know they're a group of 5 team, but they're basically FCS, Charlotte, right? Like you're out here playing teams like this. This is November football. This is when college football is supposed to matter the most. And teams like Ole Miss beat the Citadel, and they jump Oregon, who beats Iowa, right? Like
Yep.
it's
Oh,
it's
it's
completely
stupid.
it's completely ridiculous that anybody is looking at this stuff and saying like, oh, what a performance that they went out there and beat this team by all these points. They're really reeling right now. Like, give me a break. If
Yeah.
you're gonna play an FCS team, I don't love it, but play it week 1, week 2, give yourself a little bit, to work off of. I didn't love that Ohio State played Grambling State this year, week 2, because you already had your
Yep.
big game. I understand using it to kind of get yourself into your big game, but overall, it's like it's just tone deaf. The SEC fans don't understand that the timing of the game is more so the issue than the actual
Yeah.
game itself.
Well, and also to be fair, LSU nearly lost to Western Kentucky, which I mean,
Yeah, you
I would
predicted it.
it would have been nice if that actually hit, but it's just a reminder too, like the SEC, and I know LSU's got a lot of injuries and whatnot, but like LSU almost lost to Western Kentucky. And that's the same LSU that everybody's using to prop themselves up. And yet people will look at the Penn State and Wisconsin win, like teams that have beaten Penn State and Wisconsin, and be like, well, they stink. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, I would pick Penn State over LSU by multiple scores at this point, the way they're playing. Like, it's just the way scheduling works and the way teams work. Like, teams ascend and stagnate all throughout the season, and you have to think about that in context. And we don't, and it's a terrible conversation. And I just think people need to get off Twitter because they try to be all clickbaity, and instead of actually adding reasonable dialogue to a sport that desperately needs more context, we instead take everything out of context. And I just think what Dan Lanning did was help us get back to the context of like, yes, when are these games being played? The difficulty of these games during the stretch run of the season. I think it's really important.
Totally. We have neglected the chat as we were in our big discussion and everything. So I apologize to everybody, but we do appreciate you being here. Billy, PK, Kanga, all the people who are here. We definitely appreciate you all being here. And definitely pointing out all these things. Southwest Indiana 10 says USC won't fall out of the top 25. Well, they were number 17, I think they were, or 16 in the college football playoff top 25.
15. They're 15.
They were 15. Okay.
Yeah.
They will not fall out after losing to Oregon. At Oregon, 2-score loss in that one. No, I don't think they will. I mean, you saw Iowa, it was at Iowa, and they lost by a field goal, and they only dropped by 1 spot, which sure, some of that was because teams behind them lost as well, but it's not like, like Georgia Tech lost this week, and some other teams behind them lost as well too. So yeah, USC is not going to fall out of top 25. They might fall out of the top 20. We'll see. They'll probably put like Tennessee or somebody up there above them. I don't know why they do that, but that seems to be par for the course right now. So, did you know Tennessee hasn't beat a single team with a winning record this season?
I think I did know that.
Don't tell Paul Feinbaum that.
Yeah. Oh man, somebody was. I forget what team it was, but somebody was trying to make the point. I forget which SEC team it was. Wasn't Oklahoma? Oh no, it was Texas. It's Texas A&M. People were saying like Texas A&M should be absolutely be above Ohio State and Indiana because
ridiculous.
schedules. And I was like, you do realize that Texas A&M, their best win's Notre Dame, which is a good win. Probably should have lost that game. Thanks, refs. Again, showing up or not showing up when you needed to. And then they beat a Missouri team without Bo Pribula. And then they beat LSU, who stinks. Like those are their 3 wins, I think, with teams against their 3 wins against teams with winning records.
Well, and they're all bottom half teams of the SEC. I mean, that's the craziness because of the SEC and how many teams get ranked. Before things, they get this automatic jump in thought process of like, oh, they're a ranked team. It's like, no, they have a losing record in the SEC. They're not. To me, you can't have. I get it if it's like week 3 in the conference or something like that. You can't have a losing record in your conference and be ranked. And it just doesn't make sense to me for you to be playing 6 conference games and you have a losing record in your conference. Even like tie, okay, sure, maybe you can be ranked after that, but I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Steely Matt shared the stream. Appreciate you doing that, Steely Matt. All right, anything else on Oregon and USC before we move on, Zach?
Watch out for the Ducks. Like legit national championship contender.
Totally agree. Nebraska at Penn State. Penn State wins this one 37-10. We'll definitely talk about some of the Terry Smith stuff and everything else that went on there, but let's talk about the game first here, Zach, as Nebraska gave it their best shot. I mean, I know they got blown out, but I do think that Nebraska, they had some admirable pieces to what they did. They just could not convert on 4th down all game long. They tried to get into situations to convert on 4th down, and they could not make it happen. Honestly, kind of felt like the Indiana game last year, where they just continued to go for it. They weren't able to make it happen, and then Penn State got the ball and put themselves in good situations. I mean, it's not like they had short fields all game long. They had drives of 75, 75, 75, 82, 98 yards to get touchdown, or 82 was a field goal. But to get touchdowns, they went on long drives, but Nebraska just was not able to, convert on 4th down in this game, and Penn State was able to pull ahead. They started throwing the deep ball more. Ethan Grunkmeyer, that was fantastic for him, and then Katron Allen. I mean, James Franklin should have been fired alone on the fact that he was not running the ball with Katron Allen as much as he should have. To me, anybody that says oh, James Franklin shouldn't have lost his job. It's like, are you kidding me? How can you watch this team that Terry Smith is putting out there, making the adjustments that Terry Smith has, and what James Franklin was putting out there and be like, oh, James Franklin's a better coach? No, he's not. He did not have a pulse on this team and what was best for the team. He was too loyal to certain players. Anyway, I'm going to get my soapbox about it. Zach, you were at the game. What were your thoughts?
Well, and just I think this is a big part of that, even going back to the James Franklin. This team is finally playing loose, and they're not stuck in their ways. And I think a big part of that is Terry Smith. Like, he is willing. I think part of James Franklin's problem is I think he just had so much pressure. In a sense, it's the Ryan Day of Penn State, right? Like, I think Ryan Day needed to lose to Michigan to kind of let the pressure, we just have to wash everything or flush everything. I think James Franklin felt so wound up that he just never could make the adjustment. And I think Terry Smith is a truth teller. And I think he just said, hey, this is the way we're going. And now all of a sudden you see why people thought Penn State could be a national championship team. I'm not saying that's what they are now. Obviously, they're 5-6, but the team I watched last night in the stands was a team that I thought not many teams in the Big Ten can beat this team. And like, I understand your point about Nebraska had opportunities. It was a mismatch. It was an absolute mismatch last night. And this is, I get that TJ Latif's in and not Dylan Raiola, but Nebraska had no shot in this game. Like Emmett Johnson had the big 52-yard run to start the game. And I remember thinking, oh boy, what's Penn State going to do? And then they just shut him down in the red zone. And I think they gave up a couple of big plays. Jim Knowles' calling card, right? But aside from those big plays, they could get nothing. The offensive line play and the defensive line play was really, really good last night. Katron Allen broke records last night. And Ethan Grunkenmeyer, he's still young. Like, he missed reads for sure. But when he was seeing things downfield, which I think Drew Aller had not been earlier in the season. And you're seeing why some of these receivers were sought after in the portal. I think the other thing is they're getting Singleton involved in a way that they weren't getting him involved earlier in the season. They were trying to force feed him the rock. And I'm like, that's not his game. Now they're getting him out in space. They're allowing him to go on end arounds and sweeps and in the passing game. And I just think they have figured out who they are. And now that they know who they are, they're going to beat Rutgers next week. No offense to Rutgers. But Penn State is a much better team than their record suggests right now. And I think Nebraska is in the same vein of USC. Like, I think we were wondering, is Nebraska going to be able to get up to that next tier? They're not there yet. Like, they're just not there yet. Even without Raiola, they're not built on the lines like they should be. And I just think their talent is still a couple rungs down the ladder.
Max asked, what bowl game would Penn State go to if they win this weekend? If Penn State accepts a bowl game, I'm not sure if they would accept the bowl game bid. You'd have a lot of seniors and guys looking for the NFL draft that I don't know if not that they wouldn't be able to field the team, but you could have so much turnover there with NFL players, players going to the NFL, players possibly transferring out, and everything else that goes there. You just never know, but ESPN is right now projecting that Penn State will be in the Game Above Sports Bowl. It looks like they would probably play a MAC team in that, which sounds like a brutal bowl game for whatever MAC team. Pray for the MAC team that has to be Penn State in a bowl game.
That might be a 63-6 special.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly right. When I was talking about how Nebraska on offense, it wasn't like they were just completely outmanned. It was because they did have some of the skill talent to be able to go up against Penn State. Like Emmett Johnson, obviously, is somebody that can play on the same field with Penn State. TJ Latif has the type of athleticism. He doesn't quite have the processing ability, but he's also a true freshman. So, that's kind of what you have there. But he also is somebody that was able to feel the pressure, get out of the pocket. I mean, if I'm just being honest, like Vince brings it up here, I'm sorry, but if Dylan Raiola was in there, yeah, Penn State probably would have had 7, 8, 9 sacks. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it was 10 that they would have, because Dylan Raiola just would sit back there too long. TJ Latif has that time going off in his head to be able to say, I got to get out of here and go make something happen. And so that area, they would be able to compete a little bit more. But you're exactly right. On the line of scrimmage, Nebraska was not able to get any pressure on Ethan Grunkenmeyer in this game. They were not able to stop Katron Allen. They got pushed around all game long. And it's clear that Matt Rule has done a good job of assembling some of the talent that they need on this team. And I thought that he did a good job on the offensive line, bringing in Rocco Spindler and some of these guys. But the lines of scrimmage at Nebraska are just not where they need to be in order to be a Big Ten football team. Like, honestly, this Nebraska team, and I hate to say this, Nebraska fans, because I know you're not going to like me saying this, because a lot of you were the ones that were saying the Pac-12 teams can't come in and deal with the physicality of the Big Ten. Matt Rule is not bringing in a team that can deal with the physicality of the Big Ten. He's making this Nebraska team look more like a Pac-12 team than a Big Ten team. Meanwhile, you do have Lincoln Riley adjusting the USC Trojans to look more like a Big Ten team.
Yep.
Obviously, Oregon has completely assimilated to that. Washington is getting closer to that. I just don't think they have the depth to be able to be there consistently, but they are assimilating more to that. And then UCLA, it's been really tough for them coming in. I'm not going to bash them too much with the whole Deshaun Foster thing and everything else. But as far as I look at it, the Pac-12 teams are doing a better job of assimilating into the Big Ten on the line of scrimmage, most of them, than the Nebraska team is doing right now under Matt Rule. And, I think some changes on the staff probably need to be made after the season if you want to address those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good insight because, their receiving core is good, right? They're running. Emmett Johnson is good. The quarterback, Raiola takes a ton of sacks, but he's a decent quarterback. He's a good quarterback. TJ Lateef is going to be, I think, a good quarterback. But your lines of scrimmage are trash. And I hate to say it that bluntly, but if you want to be a blue blood again, it's got to start up front. And I feel like he has started on the perimeter. And I'm sorry, that's not what wins you games in the Big Ten. And it's not what's going to win you games long-term if you want to get to national prominence.
And I didn't think the interior of Nebraska's offensive line was awful in this one. I definitely thought there were some issues with run blocking that could have been corrected a little bit more. But I mean, you looked at this game; it was really Elijah Pritchett and the right tackle Cochran, I think is his name, or Coron or something like that. They were really giving up a whole lot to Zariah Fisher and Denai Dennis Sutton and those guys on the edge for Penn State. So other piece of this, Zach, and then we'll move on. Terry Smith wore the Joe Paterno pin and everything else, and I'm sure there's a lot of feelings that people have out there about Joe Pa and everything else. But I mean, this is a program that, for whatever you think about Joe Pa, right? There are a lot of people that do not like that he has basically been erased from Penn State history and being mentioned and all that kind of stuff. And I get where those people are coming from. For Terry Smith to come out, wear the pin, the the reminder of Joe Pa, and for him to come out and basically, I mean, if you watch press conferences, the guy mentions him in pretty much every single press conference. He's not ashamed to bring it out there. There are former players that, Landon Tangwell talked about on his show a little bit. There are former players that are energized by this kind of stuff. To have him come out again and talk about this, like it or not, there is an aspect of Terry Smith looking at the old school a little bit more and saying, we're not going to forget our tradition. Maybe it's not all been great, but we're not going to forget about our tradition and bring us to where, kind of to have that with where we are today. Obviously, need to keep growing and improving, but that would definitely be something that feels like if Terry Smith did get the job, and I do think he's a realistic candidate for this job, that it would be something that Penn State would maybe not completely embrace, but they would definitely be embracing more than James Franklin did when he was there.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, James Franklin was still in the throes of the heat of the scandal.
Yes.
Right. So he had a 2-year gap with Bill O'Brien, but I mean, they were still reeling from that. And, time can heal a lot of wounds. I think what probably is bringing a little bit more excitement too is not just the Joe Paterno callbacks. Terry Smith is just he bleeds blue and white. And you see that in the way he's taken this job. You see that in the way that players are advocating for him to be the coach. And I'm not sure from a national perspective that you can make him your head coach, but you better make sure he's on staff next year, because if you don't, you're going to implode your identity even more. And that was the biggest problem, I think, for this team this whole year was they tried to be They put so much pressure on themselves to be this extra gear version of themselves. That's a terrible way to put it, but like to be this extra version of themselves that they didn't even know who they were. And Terry Smith was like, we're getting back to basics. We're getting back to fundamentals, and I'm going to put you in positions to win. And he did that. And say what you want, it was Michigan State and Nebraska, but they took Indiana to the wire, and they took Iowa to the wire.
Iowa to the wire too, yeah.
Yeah. Like and that was the way that he has handled himself and handled this team is admirable, when a whole bunch of guys that were thinking national championship or bust could have just sat, and they haven't. Like, they've been engaged. Drew Aller's still on the sidelines, being with his teammates. Like, they are bought in. When they were 3-6, that speaks volumes to Terry Smith and his ability to rally the troops.
Culture building, everything else. Yeah, totally. We'll see what happens with it all. I do think, I said it on my little recap of it or whatever. I do think that, that I would definitely take Terry Smith over guys like Eli Drinkwitz or Brent Key at this point. I mean, we just saw what happened with Drinkwitz against Oklahoma. We just saw what happened with Brent Key against Pitt. Like, if you're going to struggle with maybe not so much Oklahoma, they have a really good defense, but if you're going to struggle with a team like Pitt in November in the ACC, I'm not sure Brent Key is the guy that can come into the Penn State and get it done. Obviously, he's going to have better talent at Penn State than he will at Georgia Tech, but I'm not sure he's the guy that's going to be able to do that. So you definitely got to look at some of the guys that might embrace the program a little bit more, like Terry Smith, because he definitely, if he's not the head coach, needs to be a part of the program. So, all right, everybody, we appreciate you being here. We do want to remind you that our Week 14 preview is coming on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to know all about Rivalry Week, talk about every single Big Ten game, we will predict every single Big Ten game in Week 14. Join us live on Tuesday night, at 9 p.m. Eastern time. All right, Zach, next one. Wisconsin gets the win over Illinois, 27-10. Illinois fans obviously are not happy. Wisconsin fans are elated. Here's a stat for you. 2 ranked wins by Luke Fickell the past 3 weeks. Do you know how many career ranked wins Matt Rule has?
I think it's 0.
2.
Does he? He has 2.
Are
they
2.
at Nebraska?
No, I don't think he has any at Nebraska. I think they're prior to.
I was going with at Nebraska.
Yeah. But for Luke Fickell to basically get the endorsement, they're gonna keep moving on with him and everything else. And for him to get the win over Washington, it was like, okay, that's nice. Like it was good. They played a brand of football where Washington on the road just really struggled. It was okay. But you bring the former coach, Brett Bielema, in to Camp Randall, and Luke Fickell plays Wisconsin ball in this one. I mean, they didn't throw the ball a whole lot because, quite frankly, it did not look all that great. However, Carter Smith is looking like the best option for this team at this point. But they didn't throw the ball a whole lot, but primarily because they didn't need to, as they were able to run the ball really well in this one, and they were able to lean on their defense to get them the win as Wisconsin. I mean, this is a huge win. They pull away in the fourth quarter. This is going to give some fans some more confidence. And if you look at this Wisconsin, team, after Minnesota lost to Northwestern, it looks like this Wisconsin team could go home with the axe here in Rivalry Week.
I can't believe I'm sitting here and, the week before the regular season ends and thinking that Luke Fickell, I know Luke Fickell was going to stay regardless, but actually optimistic, because I watched this game earlier today, and I was watching Wisconsin, and I'm like, who is this team? They looked fast. They were flying around the ball.
Confident.
Confident. Even Carter Smith wasn't, he threw 11 passes.
I mean, it's 9 of 11, right?
He's 9-11. But I think what stood out was just how crisp they looked. And I mean, they got after it on defense. And I get Illinois had offensive line issues, but Luke Altmaier is a really good quarterback. They have good receivers, and they couldn't do anything last night. I mean, Luke Altmaier was 21 of 35, but when it mattered, Illinois could not do anything. And that's with a great head coach, arguably the best coach in the Big Ten, with a really good quarterback and a really good complement of receivers. And they could only muster 10 points. Like, this is what Luke Fickell is doing these last couple weeks. And I'm not going to make any big declarations like, oh, he's fixed the program. It's 2 wins. But it's 2 wins against teams that
2 ranked wins.
Yeah, 2 ranked wins. Not anymore.
Yeah, the
but,
SEC, they don't want to count those anymore when you talk. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but like Illinois is a good team. Washington's a good team. And great, yes, Wisconsin won at home. But like, after all that they've been through this year, for them to fight like this, to be confident like this, and especially in this one to dominate like this, I just think there's a lot of optimism that is well deserved for Wisconsin. For Illinois, I feel like my only analysis is it's my fault. I cursed you because I picked you to win.
I mean, Illinois, they're just basically struggling with the same stuff that they struggled with all season long. And I said it. I did a Know Your Foe with Rajiv over on the Talk Illini channel. I said this feels like the game where Illinois basically has to go back up against their demons that you saw early on in the season. Wisconsin, if they can, they're not going to turn the ball over in this game. They're going to try to protect the ball as much as they possibly can. And credit to them and credit to their true freshman quarterback, they were able to protect the ball even with a lot of pressure on Carter Smith in this game. He was still able to rush for positive yards. I think he had 19 yards on like 17 carries. He was sacked 5 times. Illinois had 5 sacks in this game, but this performance here by Illinois was just basically every demon that you saw at the beginning of the season. The defense isn't good if they're not getting turnovers. The offensive line was just allowing far too much pressure on Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier is a really good quarterback, but he is not able to get things done when he is just getting constant pressure on him. And to me, that's been the biggest part of this Wisconsin defense that has been able to, evolve and kind of continue to get bigger. It has been guys like Mason Posa and the young linebackers who are getting really, really good pressure on the quarterback, time in and time out right now, because you're just seeing, like you said, like more confidence and everything else from this defense. Daryl Peterson was huge in this game. Mason Rieger,
3 sacks, right?
3 sacks for him. Overall, I mean, you had a number of sacks in this game from guys. Mason Rieger had one. Javarius Suggs had one as well. I mean, Allegro, he broke his arm about a month ago, but he's in there. Like, at this point, this Wisconsin team is just playing confident. They have elevated their pass rush on top of, and it's not just been this Illinois game. They had 5 sacks on Indiana as well. Like, this is not a bad pass rush or anything, and they've continued to elevate it. They've continued to get better, and with Carter Smith in there and his just kind of fearlessness, he's not reckless, but he's just kind of fearless. Like, he doesn't look like a freshman that's going out there. It's like, I'm just kind of, like when you see Luke Duncan over there at UCLA going for Nico Iamaleava, I'm not trying to say he's playing scared, but he's definitely playing within like a system. Don't do this, don't do that type of thing. Yeah. You don't see that with Carter Smith. He's basically going in there and saying, yeah, I'm going to take over and I'm going to make plays in this one. He's not reckless, but he's confident. And yeah. I'm surprised that this Wisconsin team is playing with as much confidence as they are, being, having the record they are and everything else. And it really speaks to Luke Fickell and the culture that he's creating there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you are a Wisconsin fan, this season, you're obviously not going to go to a bowl game for the second year in a row. But if they beat Minnesota next week, it's 3 wins, not just against 2 that were ranked, but it's 3 straight wins over teams that are going bowling. It's a rivalry win if they beat Minnesota. The amount of momentum that you can take from that, and you can sell recruits, right? Because you can start to say, hey, we know who we are. And again, this is all about who like knowing who you are. That was like the biggest struggle with Wisconsin, is it just felt like Fickell wanted to put a square peg in a round peg in a square hole the entire time. Like, let's go air raid. Let's do this. And then he's like, all right, we're going to go back to the Wisconsin ways. And it just wasn't working at first. But now all of a sudden, it just feels like they know who they are. And
Well,
they're
and
confident.
and and on top of that too, like they're going out there with an offensive line that has underperformed all season long and continuing to run the ball really well. You brought in Dylan Dupree in this one, and you and I were high on Dylan Dupree in the early season or in the preseason. He obviously gets hurt early on in the season. He comes back for this game. He looks like the type of guy that you've been wanting to see the entire time. I mean, shout out to this team. They're starting to get healthy again. Obviously, quarterback continues to plague them, but man, I continue to think it's not been Luke Fickell. It's been the injuries. It's been all of this stuff kind of culminating together, and I just want to see what Wisconsin is without the injuries. One season, like I'm actually really thankful Luke Fickell's coming back next season. Do they bring Billy Edwards back? Is Carter Smith the guy next season? I have no idea, but whoever it is, whoever the offensive line is, I don't want a whole lot of injuries going into the season. I don't want a whole lot of injuries. I mean, I never want a whole lot of injuries, but I want to see this team get through a season with just normal injuries for a team, right? I don't want to
Mhm.
see them, lose guys in the preseason with their offensive line. Just give Luke Fickell some like normal injury luck and see what he can do
Yeah.
with this team because, man, I believed in Luke Fickell before the season. It was really hard to believe in him there for a while, but I'm starting to believe in him again because
Yeah.
this Luke Fickell, I still think he's a really good coach, man.
The nice thing about next year too, their schedule, it's not easy, but compared to the last 2 years, it is. I mean, they get Notre Dame, and that's at Lambeau Field. That's so de facto home game, but that's hard. But then Western Illinois, Pitt, those are both home. At Iowa, that's going to be hard. But at Maryland, at Penn State, we'll see how that roster is going to shape up. At Purdue, at UCLA, like those are their away games, and then home: Michigan State, Minnesota, Rutgers, USC. Like, they're at least going bowling next year, right?
I mean, as long as they have normal injury luck, yes. If they're on their fourth string quarterback halfway through the season again, and their fourth string quarterback is better than their second and their third string quarterback because they had to play multiple weeks without their first string quarterback and they had to figure out, hey, the fourth stringer might be better than the second and third stringer, which I don't blame Luke Fickell for that. He's trying to not throw his true freshman quarterback into a terrible situation and destroy his confidence, but Carter Smith's just not that kind of dude. You see him out
Yeah.
there. He's not a dude that's going to lose confidence at
No,
any point in
no,
time,
no, no, no.
which is a credit to him and how he's been raised as a football player and everything, because there's a lot of guys that would have been quarterback on this team, seen the offensive line issues. Yeah, they're bringing it up here. Appreciate you being here. Anderson, he says, one offensive lineman in the original spot. I mean, if you don't think there are quarterbacks that look at something like that and like, yeah, I don't want to go in. You're kidding yourself. Like there are quarterbacks that will think that, but Carter Smith's not that kind of dude. He's a
Mhm.
competitor. He's a gamer. Gotta love it. So,
Yep.
people are really, really torn up with your comment that Brett Bielema could be the best coach in the Big Ten.
You get, again, context, right? Per capita, right? Like Ryan Day right now would rank number one in the country, right? Especially now that
Well, yes, if you go,
especially because Kirby just had another guy get arrested. Um, just for
yeah,
that, Kirby's not. He's null and void in this discussion.
well, I,
Um,
I was gonna say, like with the traditional sense, yes, Ryan Day is, I think, if not the best, he's obviously the second best coach in the country at this point. If you look at it from the standpoint of like what have you done with the talent that you've been given, Kirk
yes,
Cinetti
yeah,
is definitely number one. I don't think that's debatable in my opinion. I think Kirk Cinetti's number one.
yes. Well, short term, absolutely. The question is it
Okay, so you're
sustainable?
saying long term. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying there. But I still think even if you go long term, you look at a guy like Kirk Ferentz or something. I know he's not been won a Rose Bowl. I know he's not won a Big Ten
Yeah,
championship in a long time and stuff like that. Brett Bielema won them when he was at Wisconsin. I get that, but man, I love This is hard. I love Bert.
Yeah.
You know me.
Would
I
you
love.
say top five? Top five
Yeah,
coach?
I would
Okay.
say top 5 either way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, when I
Hard to
say I
say
think
top 5
he's.
after this game, but yeah, top 5 either way.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like, I mean, look at what Illinois has been. Like that's the thing. Like, I mean, what Signetti's done is just insane, right?
Yeah.
And like, if
And
he
I can see what
continues
you're
to do
saying,
this,
like longevity and stuff like that. I can see what you're saying there. I still think with what Signetti has done, it's been pretty spectacular to be able to get to that point, especially with winning
yeah,
some of the games they have this season. But I can see where you're coming from.
yeah.
Um,
Signetti's a unicorn right now. I don't know what to do with him. Like in the all-time, like, yeah, like what? How do you compare him to Kirk Ferentz? Right? Like, I don't know.
yeah, right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry, I spoke hyperbolically, and that was probably unhelpful. He's a top
I
five
think
coach in
if
the
you would have
conference.
said he is in the conversation, type of stuff.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
you
think
can.
that would have.
There are good arguments for him
Yes.
to be the top coach in the Big Ten, but I think there are a lot of good arguments for a few other coaches.
Yeah.
Ryan Day,
And
Kurt Signetti.
and I reminded people in the Talk Illini like recap, like if this Illinois team wins 8 wins or wins 8 games, that's still a program record. Like you look at the past when they have won 10 game seasons, they don't come back and win 8 games after that. This is just not what Illinois does.
Yeah,
If Brett Bielema is able to get even 8 wins this season, including a bowl game, right? If he's
yeah,
even able to get 8 wins this season, that's a huge program accomplishment. It's something the program hasn't done. If they have done, it's done it. It's been a long, long time since they've done it. But I know for a fact they have not followed up a 10-win season with a 9 or better win season. So
yeah.
if they beat Northwestern and they go on to win their bowl game, like I get it. He lost to Wisconsin, and that's tough. But
Mhm.
if you listen to the Big Ten Huddle, you know that this Wisconsin team's been pretty dangerous ever since that Washington game, and you know that Wisconsin's had a good defense this entire time. So,
Yep, yep.
all right. Oh boy, we are 45 minutes in, and we've only covered 3 games. So, 50 minutes in.
Yeah,
All right. Ohio State beats Rutgers. Not a whole lot to talk about in this game because Ohio State did what they were supposed to do. You had the Max Clare coming out party in this one because guess what? When Ohio State loses 5-star wide receivers, they have a 5-star transfer portal. I don't know if he was 5 stars or not, but essentially a 5-star transfer portal tight end there as well. And even though the receivers did not look super fantastic for Ohio State in this game, Brandon Ennis, their normal third string, did have a touchdown catch as well. The run game was fantastic for Ohio State. Now, this is not a good Rutgers run defense. Like, we need to talk about that and make sure we know that. But still, with how many, like 8-man boxes Ohio State was continuing to run into, for them to still be able to get positive yards on these carries was impressive. Rutgers did have 4
yeah,
tackles for loss. Definitely need to mention that. But for Ohio State to come out of this one, 254 rushing yards, it at least is giving them good momentum going into the Michigan game.
yeah. I'll just say this. This is my one takeaway, and I'm not confident. I'm on record by saying I'm picking Michigan this week, and I don't think I'm going to waver from that. I think people need to understand. Like I'm on the broadcast, people are like, "Man, Ohio State's really struggling with Rutgers." I The amount of Ohio State trying to press into their weaknesses was kind of crazy. Like they ran a ton on the right side, and their right side of their offensive line is their weakness. Anytime they ran to the left, it was like big gaping hole.
Yeah, you go to Montgomery and Cyreville, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. But they didn't do that a lot because they were like, we want to work on things. They were working on things. Everybody's kind of wringing their hair out because of the receivers, which, by the way, I think that's a good sign. Juck made a really good Juck on Bucks made a good point. They didn't really work on the receiving game with the receivers, which I think tends to lean that Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are going to be fine for Saturday. Like, I think they would have really leaned into that passing game if they thought they had to rely on those receivers. But I just think, like, they brought in Keenholz for a number of plays. And you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I think they're just working on stuff because they knew they were going to beat Rutgers by 30. And they did not care if it looked good. They did not care if it looked sexy. They just wanted to win the game, work on stuff, and get out. And so if you're sitting there and you're like, well, but Rutgers did this defensively to Ohio State, you don't understand what Ryan Day's been doing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, this was a game where Ohio State, like, yes, they were trying to win the game, but also Ryan Day, it was clear, was trying to do some different things and trying to put some stuff on tape. It was clear that he was trying to put Lincoln Kienholz in there and say, hey, he's not just going to run the ball if we put him in there. You need to be ready because he could throw the ball downfield as well. And if he throws the ball downfield, don't get a roughing the passer call on you because that could ruin everything for you. But like, you do need to be prepared for this kind of stuff. It felt like he was just trying to put stuff on tape, and I totally agree with the sentiment you mentioned of if Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate were not going to play next week, you would have seen Julian Sain probably throw 30, 40 balls in this game. He didn't even throw 20. And yes, it's going to take a hit to his Heisman and everything else. I know you have thoughts on that. So Zach might have a
There's
video.
a video coming soon.
Yeah, there's a video coming soon from Zach on the Julian Sain Heisman, thoughts and everything there. But it's it was just a game where Ohio State was trying to get in there, run the ball, work on some things, get out, and get ready for Michigan. I mean, there's no other way around it.
Yeah. I just found this comment hilarious. If the Big Ten would schedule Chattanooga State, it wouldn't take JR and Zach so long to cover the games.
Oh, we would find a way. Don't you worry. We would be like, so what'd you think about the third string right guard of this?
I think
they might need him later in the season against Wisconsin. What do you think about that matchup?
Oh dear. We can move on from this one though, I think.
As the Wisconsin analyst, deserve to keep his job next season or not?
No,
I don't know.
no.
I just thought of Wisconsin, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have all that many other thoughts. I think Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are going to play. I think that Julian Sain is just fine. I'm not worried about him at all with some of the, with some of the stuff. I think that Mendoza, I mean, I talked about it with Jeff last time we did a recap. I think Mendoza's going to win the Heisman this season. And unless he just gets absolutely, blown out by Ohio State, which I don't see that happening, I think that he's probably going to win the Heisman this season. I don't think Ohio State has prioritized the passing game enough here at the end of the season. And you've seen guys like Marcel Reed put up really good numbers, even though they put up terrible numbers and everything else.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. Marcel Reed has good numbers in the second half because he has terrible numbers in the first half against a 3-8 South Carolina or 4-7 South Carolina.
Are you gonna mention your Are you going to mention the guy that's been backing Marcel Reed that you love to listen to?
Which guy?
You know who I'm talking about?
Are you talking about McShay?
No, Josh Pate.
Oh, Josh Pate. I mean,
He thinks Reed should win the Heisman, it sounds like. I don't know if he thinks he should or not, but he's talking like he should.
Yeah, I think Pate, and I like Pate, but I think he's
I'm
wrong.
Fine with Pate.
But I think he's wrong.
Yeah.
Like the sole reason this is my video I want to make, but this is the Cliff Notes version. The only reason why Reed is relevant is because he sucked for a half and then was slightly better than his sucking in the second half. Like that's the only reason why he's relevant against a 4-7 team. I'm done with the Reed stuff. He's a great player, but it's stupid.
And don't write an article saying, I've not really watched Ohio State much this season. But I don't think Julian Sain should win the Heisman. All right. I don't want to take away all of Zach's video. I'm sure Zach has more on his video there. But we will move on. And do want to remind you, if you've made it an hour into the episode, congratulations. If you've made it an hour into the episode and you have not liked and subscribed yet to the Big Ten Huddle and not turned on bell notifications, and if you're listening on podcasts and you're an hour in, we've only talked about 4 games at this point, okay? If you're an hour in and you've not liked, subscribed, turn on the notification bell, listen, I don't know what else to do for you at this point. I'm not going to get up and dance or anything like that, but I am going to let you know that you probably do want to like and subscribe because you probably want to see more content of the Big Ten Huddle. So please do that, and we'll continue to put good content into your YouTube subscription feed. Zach, any other thoughts?
What would a JR dance look like?
Just like a little shimmy.
Oh, okay.
You know, I could
There
put
we
the I
go.
could put the intro
Ooh.
music on, and
Oh,
you
oh.
know.
Mm,
So
mm.
but I don't want to give that away. I don't want to give that away. I tell you, who did want to give it away was Michigan, and they gave it away. Holy cow, they gave it away to Maryland. This was like a horror film, but the entire horror film was just a single murder the entire time. Holy cow, Michigan dominated Maryland in this game. It was the battle of the freshmen, and the Michigan freshmen destroyed the Maryland freshmen. I feel bad for Maryland fans right now. I kind of feel bad for Mike Locksley, but listen, Maryland went to Michigan went to Maryland on a mission and did exactly what they were supposed to do. They're an injury-riddled team right now as well. The Jayshon Barham story is kind of crazy. If we want to get into that, we can, but it's kind of a long one, so maybe that's for a different video. But this whole situation right now with Michigan and how many injuries they have, for them to come out and just completely blow Maryland out of the water, 12 of 14 on third downs in this game. 3 rushing touchdowns for their third string running back. Listen, I know Maryland's not great against the run. Okay,
Mhm.
it's no secret. It's like not like Rutgers in Ohio State, but it's similar to that. But this Michigan team just went out here and absolutely obliterated Maryland, and they look like they are in their best form to go up against Ohio State this weekend as well.
Yeah, I mean
Maybe not injury wise, but like the way they're playing. I
yeah,
get it. Maryland's terrible, guys, but so is Rutgers. So if we're gonna give Ohio State props, we got to give Michigan props here too.
yeah. Well, so I have a question. Because I am a little in the dark about what happened to Barham. So I was looking it up.
So basically, he like left the team at one point because he kind of had an injury, and then I think he basically said he had like a spiritual experience to where he like now wants to dedicate his life to like his spiritual journey and you
Hmm.
know adding other people to it. I don't know exactly what it means. It was kind of convoluted. I'm not gonna say it's wrong or anything like that. Obviously, I'm a spiritual person myself, um, but yeah, it sounds like he's no longer with the team and he's kind of pursuing different avenues in life. I mean, he could have been an NFL player. For him to kind of drop football and everything all at this point,
Wait, so but he
it's kind of
played.
crazy.
He played on Saturday.
No, he's not with the team.
But he's in the box score. Jayshon Barham?
Or no, Ernest Hausman. Sorry,
Oh,
Ernest
Ernest
Hausman.
Hausman. Okay. I was
I
like,
apologize. Sorry, mentioned the wrong name. My apologies. Ernest Hausman.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Barham did play. Sorry, my bad.
I say Barham had a sack. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Nope. Nope.
Yes, Ernest
Okay.
Hausman.
Never mind. All right. That's helpful. That's helpful. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that Michigan dominated. There were still things that I saw out of Underwood that gave me a lot of concern. And like, I mean, through what should have been a pick, should have been a pick six, but the defender, I forget which defender it was for Maryland, but just dropped it. And I I just wondered, like Maryland is not good. Cue the maybe Mike Locksley should be fired conversation. But it was certainly good. I was definitely a case that Maryland was overmatched. Michigan is focused, and I like how they're playing. Well, I don't like how they're playing because I'm an Ohio State guy. I like how they're playing, but I'm also it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what to take away because I just thought Maryland was so overmatched in this game that what I took away was, oh, like Michigan can play their game and be fine. I thought Underwood had some good moments. I also thought he had some moments where I'm like, eek, which has kind of been the Bryce Underwood experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to me, I agree with you on Bryce Underwood. It was not a perfect game by him, and there's definitely still things he needs to work on. I mean, he's not going to go to Ohio State and pick Ohio State apart. Like he has incredible arm talent, but he is still developing that arm talent, and he's still trying to figure it all out and put it all together. I mean, that's why he just
Mhm.
2 weeks ago he had all the turnovers against Northwestern. But man, I look at these stats and like Michigan did everything that Michigan wants to do. I mean, they were 9 of 11 on short passes. They had a field position rate of 75%. They had a leverage rate, which leverage rate is just how many, how the percentage of times you are not in a passing situation, which is like 3rd and 9 is a passing situation, right? They were 80% in their
Mm.
leverage rate. They were not having to throw the ball 80% of the time. That's exactly what they want to do. And with an
Right.
offensive line that has multiple freshmen playing on it right now, a third string running back, like I get it, Maryland's not good, but at the same time, this Michigan team has a lot of injuries right now themselves, and they just put up probably their best offensive performance of the season with all of those things happening as well. I'm not predicting that Michigan's going to beat Ohio State or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is not the same Michigan team we saw the past 2 weeks against Purdue and Northwestern, where it's like, what in the world are we doing out here? Why does this look so bad on offense at times,
Yeah.
and not being able to put everything together? Because against Northwestern, Bryce Underwood looked really good, and then he, just kind of all fell apart there at the end. At no point in time did this all fall apart.
All apart.
What?
I just wonder, and this is the same thing I would say about Ohio State too, is I'm like, I just don't know if my perception changes with either game. And I think, and it's probably why I'm a little bit more negative with Michigan than you are, is I think Bryce like the fact that they could stay on schedule, I think is what they want to do. My question is, can they do that against better defensive lines or better run stopping teams?
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah, but I'm still terrified of Michigan. I think I'm just saying I thought Michigan played their game. They were able to play their game, and I still have the same concerns that I had coming out of this game.
Yeah, I think my thing is just if I'm going to give Ohio State props for running the ball on the worst run defense in all of college football, I feel like I have to give Michigan props for going into this game. And especially since Maryland, has some of the most picks. I think they're like 2nd or 3rd most picks in college football as a team right now. I think it's interceptions per game is where they're at. And Bryce Underwood didn't throw a single interception. He had the one that should have been an interception, but I mean, this is a Maryland team that picked off Fernando Mendoza, but they didn't pick off Bryce Underwood.
That's fair. That's a good point.
I am not saying Bryce Underwood is better than Fernando Mendoza. Do not hear me say that. But I am saying that
all the Indiana fans are about to flooded. He said what?
I'm just saying that there is some momentum for Michigan right now, and I think that's what they need going into this game if they want to pull the upset on Ohio State.
Agreed.
So, Illini fan 365 says, "Will you still say Day is a top coach if he loses to Michigan?" I will, because I am consistent as I do call Kirby Smart a top coach, even though he is 1-6 against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I mean, he still is the only coach currently that's won a 12-team playoff. Now that'll change this year. Well, it may not change it this year
unless he wins it.
Yeah. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Michigan State at Iowa. Zach, do
we have to do this game?
Yes.
Sorry.
Because I have a question. I have a question for you. What is the definition of the word insanity?
I think it's Michigan State, Iowa.
It's Michigan State punting the ball to Caden Weegan again and again and again and again and again. This Michigan State team has the best punter in all of college football, but you wouldn't know it. In the Big Ten, we should be celebrating this kind of stuff, but they have the best punter in college football, but you wouldn't know it at all because they keep punting the ball to Caden Weegan the entire game. Michigan State had this game. They should have won this game, but they didn't. Listen, give Iowa credit for the win. They made it happen, but this is not a game that Iowa should have won. This is a game with proper coaching and being able to go out there and just convert, and make the right plays for your team. Michigan State should have won this game. It was 17-10 there toward the end of the fourth quarter. Iowa scores. They get the ball back. They go down. They kick the field goal. They win the game. It was complete encapsulation of Michigan State's season so far. I mean, what a complete dumpster fire this is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Jonathan, I joked about firing.
I mean, if he's not fired yet, they're not going to fire him, right?
Probably not. Probably not.
If
But
this was the first time this happened, I'd be with you. It's like, okay, maybe, something's going to happen here. But we've seen this all season long from him.
yeah, this game has reaffirmed two things. One, it's actually awakened in me that a coach should be fired in the Big Ten, and that coach should be Jonathan Smith. It also awakened in me that Kirk Ferentz should probably think about retirement, because this is the crap that I am always thinking about with Iowa. Is like, yeah, you should have lost, and people say, but he didn't. But like, yeah, because other coaches are dumb. That's why. But like, he's not beating the big boys like this. And we were heaping praise on Iowa for how they competed against Oregon, how they competed against USC. And I want to be consistent with that. But this was one of those games where you're like, what are you doing playing with your food? Like, you are miles better than Michigan State. What are you guys doing? And again, the only reason why they actually did win is because Michigan State was stupid.
Yeah, well, and because Michigan State wasn't able to hold them, to actually, I mean, Iowa was 1 of 10 on third downs in this game, and they still won the game.
That's like insane. Well, and they won the turnover margin, right? They threw one pick, whereas Iowa had a fumble and a pick. They had more yards in this game. They were better on third down in this game. I mean, it's insanity that Michigan State lost this game.
Michigan State punted 9 times in this game. I mean, like, yeah, credit to them, but they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
Like, I hear you with being upset about Kirk Ferentz. I'm not in the camp that he should retire, because he did play back-to-back weeks against Oregon and USC, and those are two teams that are going to be physical with you.
To be fair, I'm saying I'm shifting back. I'm not saying I'm all the way there yet. But to your point, Caden Weegan had 3 returns, and he averaged 49 yards. His long was 62.
Should have never had 3.
Yeah.
3 was too many, right? Like I get it. You're punting 9 times in the game, but man, come on. Like you cannot punt the ball to Caden Weegan that many times. Just punt it out of bounds. It's better to have it be a short punt out of bounds than try to punt the ball to Caden Weegan. I mean, yeah. So
here's who Michigan State should fire Jonathan Smith for. Illini fan. I think Ferentz retires and Iowa drops like Wisconsin unless they get Fitz. But what if Michigan State could get Fitz?
I don't think Fitz would go to Michigan State over Iowa. Would he?
Well, but Iowa's not going to be open for another several years.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying they're open at the same time.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean it'd be a good hire. I think Fitz has still got a lot in him. I think he'd still be a good coach. Now
he wouldn't have to worry about academic restrictions there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, 1.5 minutes left in this game. Iowa throws a touchdown pass, 17-17. Michigan State, what did they do? They passed the ball like 3 times in a row, I think they did. Trying to make sure I have it right, because I'm trying to remember. I was watching this game in the middle of other games. Pass to the right for 12 yards to McCray. Pass to the left for 8 yards to Toliver. Toliver rushed up the middle for no gain. Timeout, 50 seconds left. Pass to the right, incomplete to McCray. Had to punt the ball 34 yards to the Iowa 21. And Iowa drove down the field for a field goal with 41 seconds left. Yikes. Give credit to Iowa. They got the win. I'm not gonna hate on them and stuff like that for getting the win, but boy, Michigan State, terrible performance. All right, anything else on that one before we move on?
Nope. No, no, no.
Another reminder, do check out Big Jeff's Insights on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We will let you know for sure what's going on with that on Tuesday night. Big Jeff does typically premiere those at 9 p.m., so he might premiere it again. He might premiere it on Wednesday night. I'm not sure. We'll let you know for sure on the preview show Tuesday night. So check in then. We'll let you know for sure. But do check out Big Jeff's Insights. He's got a lot of good content here coming at the end of the season. All right, Zach, 2 games left. Northwestern defeats Minnesota. This was one of the most entertaining games of the weekend, like
Yeah.
in all of college football. Like I know nobody's gonna say that, but Preston Stone finishes the game 15 of 15. Preston Stone essentially wins the game for them in this one. He had 305 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Coy Parrish was trying to do everything he possibly could for this Minnesota team to get the win. Drake Lindsey was 20 of 30, 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. We didn't know it, but we had a quarterback duel on our hands in this one, Zach. I mean, we knew about Drake Lindsey. You know, we've been kind of high on him all season long, but boy, for Northwestern to come out and get 300 plus yards passing and 2 touchdowns from Preston Stone, who was 25 of 30 in this one, and have over 500 yards of offense.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I mean, when we did the preview, we talked about how Northwestern is probably going to win this game. We did not talk about Northwestern having over 500 total yards of offense.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, you know, Northwestern or Minnesota's pass defense is not great. But the thing that I really took away from this game is I feel like Zach Lujan called a really good game for Northwestern. A lot of RPO, making sure that has open Stone had clear passing lanes, getting the ball to Wilde, getting the ball to Iglon, both over 100 yards in this game. And I just think, again, like they figured out how to utilize their personnel in the best ways possible. And now you've got Northwestern going to a bowl game, which is huge in year 3 for David Braun. Preston Stone, I think, absolutely played well. And I think that was the key to the game, because if he doesn't play well in this game, Northwestern does not win. So I think that to me is the main takeaway. I think the other is that, you know, PJ, I don't want to kick him while he's down, but like he's got to figure out how to get his kicker right, because that's what cost them the game, right? He missed a 48-yarder and a 40-yarder, and
both in the second half too.
Yeah, including one that could have been the game-tying field goal and send it to overtime. And that's, I mean, I am very concerned for them next week against Wisconsin. Like if you put a gun to my head and ask me who I think is going to win,
I mean,
I think it might be Wisconsin.
Minnesota's not able to run the ball.
Yeah.
They weren't able to run the ball against Northwestern here.
Yeah, Darius Taylor still does not look right to me.
I mean, he doesn't look right, and the offensive line's not very good at blocking. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah. But I'm concerned about, like, I agree with you on the offensive line, but Darius Taylor does not look like the Darius Taylor of old.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just the combo of the two. Like, it's not a good combo at all. I mean, but like Northwestern did exactly what we said they needed to do in this game to win. Now, we did not say you need over 500 yards of, you know, of offense, but we did say you need to stop Minnesota running the ball. You need to make them one-dimensional with Drake Lindsey. Even though Drake Lindsey had 4 touchdown passes in this game, Minnesota is not built to be a one-dimensional passing offense this season. They're just not built for a redshirt freshman to carry them that much. And it's no knock on Drake Lindsey. Drake Lindsey's a good quarterback, and like you said, they put him in situations with field goals there in the second half. But if you can't run the ball, you're not going to be able to consistently move the ball down the field as much as you would like to, especially in the second half of the game when you really need that run game to start heating up a little bit more. And then on top of that, Minnesota only had 1 sack in this game. They were not able to get consistent pressure on Preston Stone to force him into some of those bad throws. You could get away with 1 sack if Preston Stone was running around for his life the entire game. Yeah. Preston Stone was running around, but he was not running around for his life as much. And I do need to give Zach Lujan credit for utilizing Ryan Bowe. You know, with his mobility and stuff in this one as well. That was a really nice wrinkle that he put in there. I think he had over 20 yards rushing in this game. And I think that kept Minnesota on their toes a little bit as well. And it also felt like it took some of the pressure off of Preston Stone, which I think was really important.
And that's a good point. I want to get to a comment, but before I do, I think it's important to note, like, the score is a little misleading too. Because Minnesota had a chance to win this game. They had a chance to tie this game. But if you just look at the box score, and I'm not suggesting being a box score watcher, but Northwestern beat Minnesota in first downs 25-15. Northwestern was 8 of 14 on third down. Minnesota was 2 of 8 on third down. Northwestern had 525 total yards offensively. Minnesota had 323. Northwestern 9.8 yards per pass attempt versus 8.5 for Minnesota. 220 yards rushing to 59. 5.6 yards per carry for Northwestern, 3.5 for Minnesota. I mean, Northwestern was the better team.
Time of possession, 40 minutes to 20 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, they controlled the clock. I honestly don't know how Northwestern only won by 3.
Well,
and this leads to this comment. Illini fan watching this game made me nervous about Cats at Illini. I don't blame you. Like, I could totally see Northwestern beating Illinois next week.
I could too, but we do need to, take into consideration here. A game like this from Preston Stone is a complete anomaly. Like, this is not the Preston Stone that we've seen all season. Now, could he be this again? Sure, but that is not what is that's not what we've seen all season. We've seen a guy in Drake Lindsay who's come up in fourth quarters consistently this season to help his team, and so you can rely on something like that. And he did come up in the fourth quarter to put them in situations to get field goals, like you talked about, just weren't able to convert the field goals. But Northwestern had the turnover in this game. Northwestern was 6 of 6 in the red zone, which was obviously what they needed to do to win. But Northwestern also kicked 3 field goals in this game. Minnesota, they needed 2 field goals, but they scored touchdowns when they got in close there, and they also got a favorable 5-yard drive there at the end of the first quarter to
that's a
to
good
give
point.
them the win. So all the total yards and stuff like that does kind of add up, but overall, Minnesota was opportunistic. They just were not opportunistic in the spots that needed it most. So, Illini fan, I totally agree. I think Aaron Henry probably needs to go regardless. But if he loses against Northwestern and they put up 38 points, Aaron Henry needs to be fired on the tarmac.
Mm-hmm.
That just cannot happen.
Yep.
I know they're kind of a talent deficit right now, but just cannot happen.
Well, that makes me concerned for next week. Well.
Yeah, I don't think a single Illinois fan should not be concerned about next week.
Yep.
Because you just saw what could happen. All right, last one here, Zach, and then we'll get out of here. No, Washington did not play at home, but they did put up 48 points and blow out UCLA 48-14. Damon Williams was 17 of 26 for 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, but it was the running game for Washington and just the spectacular defense. Nico Imaliava did get hurt, so that kind of limited things for UCLA a little bit, but the constant pressure, the really good defense, the special teams play of Washington in this one just completely obliterated UCLA. They were not able to run the ball. They were not able to consistently move the ball down the field, and Washington was just suffocating for large portions of this game, which was really impressive, not just for Washington overall as a team, but for Washington coming into this game, especially on the road, to be able to do something like this. 108 yards from Adam Muhammad. Damon Williams had 56 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and then Jonah Coleman did have 4 carries for 6 yards and get a touchdown as well. What were your thoughts on Washington's dominant win over UCLA?
Well, I thought the game really turned on that bizarre, poorly executed fake field goal, right? Like UCLA, they're already down 13-0. It's like middle of the second quarter. And so like UCLA was kind of hanging in there, and they call that fake field goal. And I mean, it's just over at that point. Like, I think that turned it 20-0. And I think by that point, Damon Williams gets confidence. And when he gets hot, he's a hot and cold quarterback. Like there are times, and we saw it against Wisconsin, we saw it against Ohio State, we saw it against, I think, in other teams, against Maryland, where I think he can really struggle for long stretches. But once he heats up, forget it, man. He's like a microwave. Like, and when he heats up, he is one of the most dynamic players in college football.
And I think it was also, he benefited. I'm not trying to take anything away from Damon Williams here, but it was a good job by the Washington defense of getting the fumble on the first play of UCLA's second drive. Then they go 3-and-out on the very next drive after Washington what was it, the 4-play 2-yard drive. Then they go 3-and-out, and then Washington's able to get an 8-play 65-yard drive to get the touchdown. And then you had another fumble, and and then Washington's able to drive down the field, 8 plays, 41 yards, get the field goal. Like at that point, UCLA's defense just didn't have a chance. They were just on the field too much, especially with Washington and how, how they play offense and how much you have to dedicate to certain players. UCLA never had a chance after that. UCLA had a chance even after getting turned over on downs and stuff there early on with Washington's defense not doing much, but overall, once the defense was on the field that much for UCLA, it was game over. Washington had them right where they wanted them.
Yep, agreed.
So, do you believe Washington should be ranked?
Yeah, I do. I think especially with the context that Wisconsin has turned a corner, I think. I also like a number of teams lost. I mean, to be fair, I thought Washington should be ranked ahead of Illinois to begin with because Washington beat them by 17, and I know it was at home. And it's just hard. Like, and I get the AP polls.
They were coming off of that Wisconsin loss, though.
Yeah,
right? So
but
that makes it hard.
The AP poll is dumb, as we've all figured out. I was going to turn it up, but like the teams that would be in their way, like Missouri's not going to be ranked this week, nor should they. If they are, there should be a riot. No, there shouldn't be. Never mind. That's a terrible thing to say. But like they should be
a peaceful riot.
They should be ahead. Like James Madison just barely beat Washington State, and like they're ranked 20th in the AP poll. Like, I'm sorry. Like Washington should be above JMU. They should be above North Texas. They should be above Tulane. They should be above Georgia Tech. Like Georgia Tech just got crushed by Pitt.
Which is funny because Georgia Tech just got crushed by Pitt, and Georgia Tech is 23, and Pitt is 24.
Yeah, but Pitt, Pitt's 8-3.
But I know, but they still just won.
Yeah.
Like it was literally just last week they won, and I think it was at Georgia Tech too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, like the AP poll has Missouri above Washington and Iowa, and I just want to rip my hair out because I'm like, why? Like, what has Missouri done that makes you think that they actually deserve to be ranked? I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't get this.
Missouri is 28th right now in voting, and then Washington is 31st. I don't. Maybe I'm going to look at their resume here and completely eat my words. I don't understand Arizona State.
They lost to freaking Arkansas.
Yeah.
Get them out of here. I mean, to be fair, Washington lost to Wisconsin, but
like I know Arizona State beat Texas Tech, but like I don't know, like how can you hold on to that one win? If you lose to Houston and Utah and Mississippi State, like yeah.
Sorry, not Mississippi State, Arkansas. That's right. The other SEC team that stinks.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like
they should be, but I would not be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, they should definitely be above Missouri. 7-4 Missouri should not be above Washington.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Washington's highest was ranked 22nd. They did not receive a single vote from 57 voters. Missouri, their highest was 18th. Missouri did not receive a single vote from 60 voters. So Washington actually got more votes to be in the top 25 than Missouri did. But John Wilner had Missouri at 18.
Oh, good
Reese
old
Davis had
Wilner.
him at 20. Yeah, don't you love John Wilner? Koki Riley, who has been kind of one of the craziest ones, he's had him at 21. Let's see where they had Washington at. This is great podcasting right now. We have a visual aid. The podcasting community is like, wow, thank you. Yeah, Ralph Russo had him 23. Brian Howell had him 22nd. Highest they were was 22nd. Missouri got more points because they were up at 18. That's lame.
Yep.
I mean, we're literally arguing about like 28th and 31st right now, so it's not. It doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
it's just the principle of the thing.
Yeah.
Missouri, stop ranking them. They're not good.
Hey, we did get a super chat from Dave.
Oh, go ahead and bring that up. Sorry,
Yep.
I missed it.
Yeah, it's all right. If I missed it, Minnesota's defense looked like crap. Maybe Minnesota needs to start paying and hiring coordinators.
Yeah, I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I agree, but also like, I don't know. I mean, their defense looked good last year. I think it's just they got to develop talent.
I mean, so Kingsbury did have the ball that went right through his hands. He had the interception that went right through his hands. I don't think you can blame that on the coordinator. There are definitely other things you can. So I don't know. I mean, I thought the Danny Collins experiment was going pretty well at the beginning of the season, but it feels like as the season has gone on, teams have kind of figured out Danny Collins more and more, and that Minnesota's defense is just getting picked apart more and more. I think it was a good thing for PJ Fleck to give him an opportunity, but I also think if you're a high major Big Ten program, you probably need to be looking at trying to poach a guy from another lower level program rather than just
that's
moving a guy up because he did a really good job of sleeping in the broom closet for. That is seriously the story he brings up every single time with Danny Collins. It's like, you wouldn't believe how many times he slept in the broom closet here instead of going home to his family. I'm like, PJ, dude, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's healthy. Like, I like the dedication, but man, you got a family at home. Go be with your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I guess I don't know. I don't know if he has a family at home. Maybe he sells used vacuums or something. But maybe that's the whole thing. But it's like, I don't know. I do not think that. I do not think that should be like the biggest story ever to validate a guy. Anyway, what do you think is gonna happen to Coy Parrish? Do you think he's gonna stick around next season?
We'll see. I'll tell you. Someone mentioned him going to Ohio State. It would suck for Minnesota because he's a Minnesota kid, but they're losing Caleb Downs. I could see where that could actually be a very realistic thing that happens.
Tony says that Washington is 15th in the recently released SP Plus. Let's check out SP Plus.
Yeah, they are 15th. They're right below Tennessee, right below Vandy. Actually, they're tied with Tennessee if you look at their actual rating.
Wow.
Penn State 17th. They're actually above USC.
Well, SP Plus uses season priors a good amount, which I don't always love, but definitely for like betting on games and stuff like that, you do need to, or like making spreads for games, I guess is what I should have said.
Yeah.
You need to take that into account some more, but I mean, SP Plus has Ohio State, Indiana, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame, top 5. Nobody in the SEC there in the top 5. That confirms a lot of what I thought. Utah, I don't know how Utah's at number 9 after what they just did against Kansas State.
I don't know.
But yeah. All right, Zach. Anything else?
Nope. I'm good.
that's all we got. So,
Yeah.
everybody, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening into the Big Ten Huddle. Zach and I will be back on Tuesday night to preview the rivalry week, and then I'm going to try and record some videos tomorrow night and kind of like release those out throughout the week a little bit. So some of those won't be like super news specific, but some of them will be kind of some opinion pieces, stuff like that, just in case you're traveling on, for Thanksgiving, or you're at home or anything like that, and you want to check out some content. We don't do great numbers around Thanksgiving time, but I do appreciate you guys watching. And if you do want to have any Big Ten content like that, and Zach is so fired up, he should have a Heisman video coming out at some point,
Mhm.
right, Zach? Any
Yes.
timetable on that you know of?
I'm going to try to record it tomorrow. So,
All right. So you might see it tomorrow night or Tuesday morning.
yeah.
So, all right, everybody, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.